She was the most beautiful woman in England. Her makeup killed her. In 1752, the most beautiful woman in England walked into a room and the entire room stopped breathing. Crowds mobbed her in Hyde Park. The king assigned her a personal guard, 12 soldiers following her through London. Men wrote poems about her face. Women copied her dresses, her hair, her walk. She was 27 when she died. Her face had been slowly poisoning her for 8 years. She knew it. Her husband begged her to stop. She kept applying it anyway. This is the story of the woman who climbed out of poverty on the ladder of her own beauty, and then discovered the ladder was on fire. Maria Gunning was born in 1733 in a village in Huntingdonshire, but she grew up in Ireland at Castle Coote, and castle is a generous word. The family was poor. Her father was a gentleman in name only. Her mother looked at her daughters, Maria and her younger sister Elizabeth, and saw the only asset the family had left. She encouraged them to act, not for art, for survival. Acting in Dublin meant proximity to wealthy men. Proximity to wealthy men meant marriage. Marriage meant escape. The plan worked faster than anyone expected. By the late 1740s, the Gunning sisters were the talk of Dublin. They were invited to every party, every ball, every private dinner. They weren't aristocrats. They weren't rich. They were simply so beautiful that nobody cared about the rest. Around 1750, they moved to London. And within weeks, the same thing happened, multiplied by 10. London newspapers printed stories about them. Crowds gathered outside events hoping to see them leave. Maria in particular drew a reaction that bordered on hysteria. One evening in Hyde Park, the crush of people trying to get near her became so dangerous that King George II dispatched a guard. 2 sergeants walked in front of her. 12 soldiers followed behind. For a girl who had grown up with nothing, no money, no title, no power, this must have felt like magic. Her face had opened every door. Her face had made her untouchable. The problem was, the face required maintenance. In 1752, Maria married George William Coventry, the 6th Earl of Coventry. She was now the Countess of Coventry, a title, a fortune, a place at the very top of English society. And now she had to stay there. The standard of beauty in 1750s London high society was a complexion so white it looked almost inhuman. Pale skin signaled that you did not work outdoors, that you had never labored, that you were too rich for sunlight. The product that delivered this look was called Venetian Ceruse. It was made from white lead, pure lead carbonate mixed with vinegar. It produced a smooth, porcelain, luminous finish that no other cosmetic could match. It was the most expensive face paint in Europe, and it was, by any modern standard, poison. Lead absorbs directly through the skin into the bloodstream. Chronic exposure damages the nervous system, the kidneys, the liver, the brain. It causes anemia, hair loss, tooth decay, and in the pattern Maria was about to experience skin eruptions that looked like burns. But those weren't the immediate problem. The immediate problem was that Venetian Ceruse was incredibly painful to remove. The removal process required mercury-based solvents that burned the skin almost as badly as the lead itself. So many women, including Maria, simply didn't remove it. They applied new layers on top of old layers, day after day. The lead never left her face, not once for roughly 8 years. Here is the loop that killed Maria Coventry. It has 4 steps. Step 1. The Venetian Ceruse causes skin damage, burns, eruptions, open sores. Step 2. The damage is visible. In high society, visible damage to your face is a social catastrophe. Step 3. So Maria applies more Ceruse, a thicker layer, to cover the damage. Step 4. The thicker layer causes more damage, deeper burns, larger eruptions. The lead goes deeper into her bloodstream. Back to step 1. Repeat. For 8 years, her husband noticed. George William Coventry watched his wife's skin deteriorate beneath the paint. He saw what the Ceruse was doing to her, the grayish pallor when the makeup was finally removed, the sores that wouldn't heal, the increasing frailty. He begged her to stop using it. She refused. The logic is heartbreaking when you examine it. Stopping the Ceruse would mean appearing in public with her real face, the damaged face, the the face the lead had been destroying. That was unthinkable. Her entire life, her title, her wealth, her social position had been built on her beauty. If the beauty disappeared, what was left? A poor Irish girl playing dress-up she couldn't stop. Not because she was vain, because her identity had been welded to her reflection, and the reflection was killing her. By the summer of 1760, Maria Coventry could no longer appear in public. She retreated to her bedroom and closed the curtains. She allowed no visitors, not friends, not admirers, not the society that had worshipped her for a decade. The official explanation was consumption, tuberculosis, and she may well have had it. Lead poisoning destroys the immune system. It leaves the body vulnerable to infections that a healthy person would fight off. The truth is that she was dying from multiple causes at once: the lead in her bloodstream, the tuberculosis in her lungs, and the inescapable fact that her beauty had already been consumed. There is a detail that turns this from a medical story into a psychological horror. Maria owned a 7-foot giltwood mirror. It had been commissioned for her, a mirror large enough to see her entire reflection, from head to toe, in the finest gold frame money could buy. She ordered it a year before she died. At the end, she couldn't bear to look into it. According to accounts from the period, she kept it turned to the wall. The woman who had been the most admired face in England couldn't face her own reflection. On September 30th, 1760, Maria Coventry died. She was 27 years old. Within days, the London papers had their angle. Death by Vanity, they called it. The story that she had poisoned herself with cosmetics rather than give up her beauty spread through every drawing room and coffee house in England. It was told as a cautionary tale with a smirk. The poor Irish girl who had climbed too high. The beautiful woman who loved her reflection more than her life. Nobody pointed out the obvious. Everyone in her circle knew what the Ceruse was doing. Her husband knew. Her sister Elizabeth knew. Elizabeth had watched the same thing unfold and had stopped using the product herself. The physicians knew. The society women who copied her style knew, and none of them could stop her, not because they didn't try. George William tried for years, but because Maria had nowhere to go. The beauty that had lifted her out of poverty had become a cage. The only exit was death, and she chose death rather than step out of the cage in public. The cruelty of the Death by Vanity label is that it misses the entire point. This wasn't vanity. This was a woman who believed she had no value beyond her face, and that belief, as much as the lead, is what killed her. Maria Coventry was the most admired woman in 18th century England. She was also a prisoner of her own reflection, so terrified of being seen without the mask that she let the mask consume her. She climbed out of poverty, using the one asset her culture told her she had. And the culture turned around and mocked her for dying by the same asset. She was exploited by a society that demanded impossible beauty standards from women, and then punished them for pursuing those standards. She was a victim of a system she never had the power to change. And at the same time, she made choices. She was warned. She was begged. She knew the Ceruse was killing her and she kept applying it. A tragedy does not require a villain. A tragedy requires a person caught between forces too powerful to resist, and Maria was caught between poverty, beauty, lead, and a social order that told her she was nothing without her face. Both things are true. She once made an awkward joke to King George II. The king complained that London was dull. Maria replied, "There is only one sight I am eager to see, and that is a coronation." She was a poor Irish girl who couldn't afford to be in the room, and she made the king laugh. That woman deserved more than 8 years of lead poisoning and a mocking epitaph. The next time someone tells you beauty is power, remember Maria Coventry. Power doesn't kill you from the inside out. A cage disguised as a crown does. Next week, Rasputin, a man who was poisoned, shot, and thrown into a frozen river and kept fighting. The story of the monk who refused to die 3 times in one night.